All right. So there were two stories I was going to mention briefly before starting, because one of the things I try to do here is this is a news show, so to speak. I am covering Ukraine, but I'm also covering big news that hits. And we had two big news today. One of them was the Secret Service. You know, the Secret Service are the people who defend the president, among other things, right? Secret Service deleted text messages dated January 5th and January 6th. January 6th, of course, is the day of the insurrection, January 5th, the day before. And they deleted these text messages only after they were requested to turn them over to investigators looking into how the Secret Service handled the insurrection. In this case, it was the Department of Homeland Security that was investigating. Homeland Security is the parent agency of the Secret Service. Secret Service is part of Homeland Security, and it was the Inspector General who was investigating. The story just broke. We're trying to get more information. What is disturbing is none of the stories that broke are mentioning anything about backups. And at least one of you on TikTok in the comments said that, presumably the Secret Service is smart enough to use encrypted communications, right? And if they're using encrypted communications, it means there may not be a backup of the text messages. It may literally be what was on the two phones, and that's it. So let's see. But as I said, it's gonna, oh, that's right. And I forgot to mention, and the Secret Service's excuse for deleting all the messages was it was device replacement. They were just replacing devices. You know how it goes. Except that, of course, they didn't replace the device and delete the emails or the text messages, until after they were requested by the investigation to turn over all the text messages. So just kind of lovely. The other news today is that Ivana Trump died. Ivana Trump was Donald's first wife. She's the mother, or was the mother, of Donald Jr., Eric, and Ivanka. In response, Donald Trump decided to fundraise off of her death by sending out an email talking about what a great person she was, and then asking for money at the bottom, because that's who Donald Trump is. Oh, well, I can't wait until I get to do the same. So the first story I was going to mention, because it's very funny and it's a good way to start with all of this, is the Russians, two Russian fighter jets, two Su-27 fighters, tried to attack Snake Island either today or yesterday. Snake Island being the Russian warship Go F Yourself Island, right? And because I like to make this a geography lesson each time we come, Snake Island is more or less about here, okay? It's more or less about where the point of my finger is. Well, it's been going back. It's a Ukrainian island, has been going back in control between the Ukrainians and the Russians. The Ukrainians got it again about a week and a half ago, and the fighter jets from the Russians decided they were going to bomb. The Ukrainians must have something set up there, and they're bombing it, and they missed. Both fighter jets missed the island completely and hit the water, which I kind of love, because it's like, not only did they miss, but they literally couldn't even hit the island. Now, interestingly, there were some trolls on YouTube, because I put the video that I did on TikTok there as well. And the trolls, this was my favorite. Hold on, having a hit of green tea and then tell you about the trolls. So the troll who's trying to show me up says, "Oh, this story's fake because fighter jets aren't supposed to attack land. Everybody knows that." And I said, "Thanks for proving my point." You're right. Sane people wouldn't use fighter jets to attack land, but we're dealing with the Russian military. I will say as well, what's interesting about this issue is there was also a report in the last couple of days that the Russians used surface-to-air missiles to attack some other, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was, I think it was a building or something that they attacked, and they used surface-to-air missiles. And what folks were saying is that you don't really, surface-to-air missiles are meant to blow up planes in the sky. They're not meant to attack buildings. And what it suggests is, and frankly, the same issue here, using fighter jets to attack ground targets and missing, is that the Russians either do not have enough surface-to-surface missiles, the kind of missiles you'd use to attack things on the ground, exactly what Peace on Mars is saying. Maybe they're running out of munitions. The other possibility, a little more complicated, is that sanctions may have affected replacement parts that they need for the guidance system of those missiles. So now they're having to use dumb bombs. Anyway, it's pretty funny they missed, and there you go. The big story today, I mean, one of the big stories today, not a good one, is Russian. I was mentioning this before we started. There was a Russian missile strike on a civilian building and a cultural center in the town of Vinnytsia, Ukraine. It's in the east, and I doubt this one's going to be on my map. No, it's not. It's not east. No. It is. I'm sorry. It's southwest of Kyiv. Right. I knew it wasn't in the east. And look, Vinnytsia is on the famous T-shirt map. This T-shirt map, is the gift that keeps on giving. So Vinnytsia is all the way over here, right? This isn't anywhere near where the fighting is. Not even close to where the fighting is, okay? The fighting is all around here with some of it here by Kharkiv, okay? So you got fighting here, you got a lot going on here and throughout here. That's where the fighting is. It's not over here. The Russians decided to send 5 cruise missiles. The Ukrainians say they stopped 2 or 3 of them. The remaining cruise missiles, as I said, hit a community center, 2 community centers, homes, a medical center was destroyed, and a number of cars and trams were set on fire. According to the state emergency services, 23 people so far were killed. I'm sure the number is going to grow. 66 people, including 3 children, were injured. 5 people are in critical condition, and rescuers are still searching for 39 people. And the U.S. spoke out about this. European Union, I think, spoke out about this. It's just more signs of the war crimes that are going on with the Russians. And I believe Zelensky called again today for, actually today he called for something to be set up for reparations, I believe, for Ukrainian civilians, which, we've got to start talking about Russia's war crimes. And what I mean by this is we're going to have to start putting pressure on our governments for what comes after. Because, France and Germany, France and Germany the most, but Biden will push for this too. They're going to push for this wonderful little speech, peace treaty, blah, blah, blah. And we need to be pushing them on, how do we even do that now? How do we have a peace treaty with these people? They're war criminals. Somebody's got to go to jail. If we're going to have a peace treaty with these guys, or if the Ukrainians are, it's up to the Ukrainians, but for the world, actually, it's not up to the Ukrainians on this. It's not up to the Ukrainians whether we have a war crime tribunals. It's up to every decent human being on the planet to demand that the war crimes be prosecuted, right? It's not just the Ukrainians. So I don't know what happens next as a result of this, because thank you, Inspired Woman, because clearly I fear there's going to be an effort to kind of, let's get on with our lives, right? They have a peace treaty. Let's just let bygones be bygones and, wait until the next genocide takes place. Anyway. All right. The grain deal. So this is a big story too. And let's see. I'm still skeptical on this, but Wall Street Journal, among others, is reporting that officials from Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and the United Nations have agreed on key aspects of a plan to resume exports of Ukrainian grain through the Black Sea. This is the excerpt I took from the Wall Street Journal. Under the broad agreement reached Wednesday, grain could ship from 3 Ukrainian ports in convoys escorted by Ukrainian vessels, with a ceasefire to protect the vessels within geographical limits and some mine sweeping. They're going to have to do some mine sweeping because presumably the grain is going to be coming from, from Odessa here. This is the only part Ukraine's got that they can export from. I can't imagine they're going to be doing over here in Russian controlled territory, but it'll be over here. And a little more on this because it gets weirder and weirder. The Turkish Navy, this part makes sense. The Turkish Navy would inspect empty ships arriving at Ukrainian ports to address concerns from Russia that the vessels could be used to transport Western arms. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. The UN will establish a command and control center in Istanbul to monitor threat levels to shipping. Okay. Technical details remain to be ironed out, including how mines laid around Ukrainian ports will be cleared. Ukraine had originally told the UN that a safe package could be charted throughout their minefields, but now, anyway, they're going to have to clear a path through the mines, so they're going to have to remove some of them. Ukrainian leaders are demanding security guarantees in return for removing any of the mines. These mines, by the way, the mines that they've got throughout all of here are meant to stop the Russians from attacking Odessa. This is it for what Ukraine controls in terms of coastline. If the Russians, take Odessa, they're going to get the rest of this too, and Ukraine will no longer have a coast. Okay? I mean, bad news. So, but again, it gets better. Ukrainian leaders are demanding security guarantees in return for removing any of the mines and have said that they simply can't trust Russia not to attack following the full-scale invasion before. Makes sense. So what they're thinking of, hold on, there's this thing. Oh yeah, one solution, an Istanbul expert, one solution to Ukraine's security concerns would be to station a Turkish or Romanian warship near the port city of Odessa. So Ukraine gets rid of its mines. It frees up Odessa to be attacked by Russian ships. The Russians are dying to get their hands on Odessa, right? Dying to get their hands on Odessa. And the way that NATO and everybody's going to stop this from happening is one proposed one Romanian or Turkish warship would be put here in the water. And what exactly? Russia arrives with its fleet and the Turks are going to start a war between NATO and Russia? Really? The Romanians are going to start a war between NATO and Russia? Really? I mean, what's the deal here? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It just, hold on, I've got to save this because I've got to remember. Yeah, it's another troll account because TikTok doesn't delete fake accounts that people use to scam people. And I don't know why you report them. They don't delete it. So that on TikTok was another scam account. Yeah. And unfortunately, oh shit, God damn it. Oh shit, sorry. I shook my tea and I had cleaned the thing. And because I cleaned it out, it exploded. Although thank God it's tea and not milk. And thank God it didn't burn me. But hold on a second, guys. Oh, damn it. I'm also not entirely clear why this thing didn't seal well. Shit. Yeah. Well, thank God I got notes. God, give me a second here, folks. This is a mess. You know what? I'm going to go here and print another copy of my notes. I'm fine. It's just tea everywhere. Give me a second. Printing one more copy. Ugh, God. That was fun. Hang on. I'm going to print this one more time. All right. Good. I can print 3 through the end. One moment. From pages 3 to 6. Like it didn't burn me. I mean, it was hot, but it wasn't. It was like such little itty bitty bits that I got like little burns, but that was it. So, whew. That was bad. Wow. I'm kind of wondering if I broke this thing. Maybe I did. That would suck. So I've got my little I don't know. Yeah, maybe I did break it. I'm going to take this over by the sink. 1 second, guys. I appreciate you waiting. It's printing anyway. Wow. Yeah, well, I did it last night and now it's not going to work. That's great. Oh, well, that's nice. All right. Here we go. Oh, all right. Yeah, remember I told you I soaked this thing last night and I soaked the rubber part in vinegar and now it is exploding everywhere. So I'm hoping I simply didn't put it on correctly or God knows what, but I'll be really bummed because I'm going to have to buy another thermos. And of course, well, hopefully I didn't miss Prime Day for my thermos. Yeah, I'm okay. It spilled tea everywhere. So I had to clean it up and then get new notes. So anyway, yeah. So the problem is, what do you do? Always blame the cat. Exactly. It's the damn cat. It would never be Sasha. Oops. Don't forget my mic. Yes, it was my cat. I don't have a cat, but what the hell? I would never blame my lovable Sasha. All right, I'm back. So thank you for that, Netlin. So in any case, yeah, I'm still worried about what happens. I, it is ridiculous to think that one warship from Romania or Turkey is going to bomb the Russians if they try to invade. They're not gonna. They're not gonna. They're just not gonna. Anyway, so the Russian this came out yesterday, but it's still worth repeating. Russian authorities have interrogated, detained, and forcibly deported between 900,000 and 1.6 million Ukrainian citizens, including 260,000 children, from their homes into Russian territory, often to the isolated regions in the Far East, according to Secretary Blinken, who's our Secretary of State. Mr. Blinken described the transfers as a grave breach of the Fourth Geneva Convention on the Protection of Civilians and a war crime. Now, we all knew this was taking place, but it's important for the United States to be saying this publicly because, as I was talking about earlier, this is one more example of how hard it's going to be to back down, to reach any kind of agreement with Russia, because we're already admitting now that even the United States says that they've kidnapped 1.6 million Russians and 260,000 children. That's according to the official United States numbers, right? Very bad. Russian missile. Oh, I got you that, the Russian missile. Oh, but sorry, just went. Yep, the Russian missile on Venezia. We've got. Oh, this was good. Guerrillas, partisans, Wolverines, whatever you want to call them, citizens taking up arms in Mariupol. Mariupol is right here, and Mariupol sounds familiar to you because that's the town in which the 2,000 fighters took on 14,000 Russians for like 2 months. I mean, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Yeah, I do need a producer, but I mean, yeah, from your lips to God's ears. So I'm still trying to make sure I can pay enough to feed my dog, let alone get a producer. But thank you. Thanks for that, Marcy. So guerrillas in Mariupol. Oh, yeah. So Mariupol is that city. It's the city where the Russians bombed the theater that had the words children written on it, right? That's Mariupol. The guerrillas in Mariupol set fire to a sunflower oil refinery. Thank you, Ricky. Peter Andrushenko, an aide to the mayor of Russian-occupied Mariupol, published a video of Satellite, a sunflower oil refinery on fire. He added that the Mariupol resistance is growing. Now, all I can guess is that it is a factory that the Russians have taken over, and they're basically making sunflower oil for the Russians themselves to export or for Russian consumption. That's my guess. So, because otherwise I was going, why are they blowing up a sunflower oil factory? That's got to be it. The Russians are stealing it, and they're blowing it up, which is good for the Ukrainians. Reuters. Oh, this is good. This is a good story, but it's got a little bit of a delay to it. Okay. I read the story at first and I thought this is great, but listen to this. Reuters says the European Union is planning a gas deal with Azerbaijan, which is a former Soviet state, now independent country, in order to pivot away from Russia with natural gas. According to a draft document seen by Reuters, the European Commission has proposed to the EU a deal with Azerbaijan to increase imports of natural gas and support the expansion of a pipeline to do this. Now, the problem with this, I don't have the details. I didn't write down the details. The problem with this is their goal is to increase the imports from Azerbaijan by like 2027, and then to have a new pipeline or something like this by 2030. It's not terribly clear whether any of this is going to help right now. And right now is when the Ukrainians need help. The Europeans need help in terms of the natural gas because the Russians are cutting it off. So, let's see. But this may be better than it sounds. Excuse me, not as good as it sounds, because in the end, eventually it's good, but not right now. Two more little things, and that's it. I didn't have a ton of news today, really. I thought I had a lot, but I didn't. The Russians are restarting the Azot chemical plant in the Luhansk Oblast, which is in the far east of Ukraine. And The Ukrainians are saying it could lead to a catastrophe. According to the Luhansk Oblast governor, Russian occupiers have recently, well, this is some, see, you can tell when I'm summarizing something I got from the Kyiv Independent, because the Russians are called things like occupiers and all sorts of things. So thank you for the sunglasses, by the way, Purnell. The Russian occupiers have recently stated their plans to restart the Azot chemical plant in occupied Severodonetsk. Remember Severodonetsk? That's the big town that they were fighting over for like a month. And then finally the Ukrainians pulled out and let the Russians take it, but after inflicting a lot of damage on the Russians. So they want to restart the chemical plant there. Okay. The chemical plant is where a lot of them were hiding. Because at one point, you might recall, the Ukrainians controlled like a third of the town and they were in the industrial area. And I'm pretty sure they were in this chemical plant hiding out. Pretty sure. So the Ukrainians are saying that the Russians starting the plant up again is extremely dangerous due to significant destruction on the territory of the plant. In other words, the surrounding land of the plant, and is possible without the appropriate specialist. Is not something you can do without the specialist. So they're worried about that. Final thing I wanted to bring up, and then we'll jump to the Q&A, is unrelated to Ukraine, but related in a way to Roe v. Wade, the abortion case that was thrown out, so that we now no longer have protections for abortion. But we also no longer have protections for the right to privacy. No longer is the right to privacy recognized by the law of the land in this country, okay? In Europe, you've got much stronger rights to, we never had a strong right to privacy, but at least Roe v. Wade gave us a right to bodily privacy, at least, even though it didn't give us a right to information privacy, okay? So a lawyer in Texas who was responsible for creating and getting past the draconian anti-abortion law there, okay? He has come up with a new idea, and he's got clients that went to court, and they are suing to stop the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act is Obamacare. It's the healthcare plan that Obama passed that impacts people like me who work on their own. It actually impacts everybody. It provides guarantees and protections for all Americans. They're attacking the provision that mandates insurers to cover PrEP. Now, what that is PrEP is two drugs that people take in order to avoid catching HIV. That it is, I don't know the percentage. I know it's a huge percent, decrease in your chance of getting HIV, which causes AIDS, if you are taking PrEP. And people take the pill every day. It's just a regular thing that a lot of people do now, certainly in the gay community, but anywhere where people are worried about getting HIV, they take PrEP, right? There you go. Somebody in TikTok saying that Bussy says they take PrEP. Well, they're suing to stop the Affordable Care Act from requiring insurance companies to cover PrEP. Because remember, in America, you pay for everything. So it's not like our, medicines nothing's free here, right? And things are also very, very expensive here. It's exactly what Louis is saying there. It's very expensive. So the reason, listen to this, the reason they're suing, the PrEP mandate forces religious employers to provide coverage. Now, they're saying, and again, just so you guys on the outside understand, an employer is providing a health plan to their employees, and the health plan is negotiated with the insurer, blah, blah, blah. The ACA says every health plan, even if it's negotiated with an employer, has got to cover certain things. Women's reproductive health. Well, that's going to be another one soon. PrEP, all sorts of things, right? So their complaint is, they went to court. The PrEP mandate forces religious employers to provide coverage for drugs that facilitate and encourage homosexual behavior, prostitution, sexual promiscuity, and intravenous drug use, the lawsuit says. It also compels religious employers and religious individuals who purchase health insurance to subsidize these behaviors as a condition of purchasing health insurance. In other words, they're saying that they don't want these employers to have to cover these things, but they're also saying they don't want their insurance premiums to go towards a plan that helps the gay. because they see, of course, they see HIV as being a gay thing. They're trying to kill gay people, folks. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. And the legal analysts, thank you, Elle, are saying that it is this is sort of a repercussion from losing Roe v. Wade, from losing the Supreme Court case. That this is exactly the kind of thing that happens next. For example, well, we don't need to go all of this, but yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So, oh well. Anyway, all right, guys, let's jump into the question. So I got thrown by that I'm still like thrown by that tea. It just like went everywhere when I shook it. And like I said, I thank God it wasn't milk at least, but oof. All right. Well, like I said, I may be buying another one of these tonight. It's like, oh well. Hopefully hopefully it's still on sale on Amazon. I did. I covered Ivana Trump at the very beginning. Yep. All right, guys. Let me have a look here and look at the questions on TikTok. Hang on here. Q&A. Do you think that as much as nobody wants a third world war, it's about time we put the bear in its cage? Thank you, Crusher. And got boots on the ground. Enough is enough. Now, wait, is that not the one did you guys even, hold on a second. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. There we go. The problem is, as much as I don't like Russia doing all of its BS about threatening nuclear war and everything else, we do have to worry about war between us and the Russians. I mean, that has the possibility of becoming something huge, So it's hard. I am not a fan of, putting boots on the ground and going to war with Russia. I am a fan, however, of doing stuff that's a hell of a lot more direct than what we're doing now. We need to stop worrying about Russia all the time, and worrying that we can't give MiG fighter jets and all these kind of things. We have to worry about the tanks we give the Ukrainians, all this kind of crap, because we're so worried about the Russians. But I don't think going to war with them is necessarily the answer either. Daniel O'Neill asks, hey, Daniel, thank you. Do you think any part of the West might finally escalate the F out of this yet? Oh, that's funny. This is kind of getting at what you guys were asking here. So we'll continue. And thank you, Kanowski, for that. ATACMS, Leopard 2 tanks, F-16s. Yeah, the ATACMS they're talking about. Counter-nuclear threats, declare Russia a terrorist state. Furious by the images today, RIP. So, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about that we could do. This is the kind of thing, right? The ATACMS, I believe, I want to say the ATACMS are the longer range. Correct me if I'm wrong. The ATACMS are the longer range, either system or shells that can go is it even a couple hundred miles? Am I right on this? Weigh in somebody and let me know. But I remember reading that the other day. Leopard tanks, declaring Russia a terrorist state. That's an easy one. It's very, thank you, Louis. It's really frustrating. I know the HIMARS can go longer with the right ammunition, with the right munitions. That I know. But what's the deal with ATACMS? I'm forgetting let me Google really quick. Just because if we're going to mention it, we might as well tell people what it does. All right, ATACMS. Oh, it's a surface-to-air missile. Sorry. Surface-to-air missile developed by Lockheed Martin. Has a range up to 190 miles. Can be fired from multiple rocket launchers. That's good, including the HIMARS. And is the target just planes, or what's the target? Because that's what I'm curious about. Let me look here. If anybody wants to weigh in and tell us, is this just planes? Because obviously planes aren't in the sky, so it's got to be for somebody else. It's got to be for somebody else. The Funko Pop? What does that mean, Tyson? I have no idea what that means. I don't know. Thank you for buying a thing, but I don't know what that means. Has anybody weighed in? Surface to surface? Oh, can they go surface to surface? Okay. Planes, trains, and automobiles. All right. Oh, thank you, Cassie. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, okay, sorry, not getting enough immediate responses here. I'll move surface to surface, Daniel says. So, okay. Well, I'm assuming attackums are called attackums. I'm sure that's why it was called that. Oh, the Spock. Yes, sorry. Tyson got me with the head. Tyson got me a Mr. Spock and a Khan. The Khan is a little harder to tell. It's the Khan has a little bit of a suggestion of Ricardo Montalban, but the Spock is definitely a Spock. That is a given. She didn't believe when I said I had it on my desk right next to me. I really did. I really did. So yeah, attackums, I'm assuming, are called attackums because that's sort of the funny acronym, ATACMS. Attackums, isn't it funny? Ah. All right, let me go to another question here. And thank you for that, Cassie. That's sweet of you. Oh, okay. People actually, well, people are weighing in more on this. This is okay. HIMARS has a different kind of missile that can reach up to 300 kilometers. So they could even reach the Crimean Bridge. Yes, I know about that, and we don't want to send them, but I know about that. Right. It depends on the missile they get. The system is a surface-to-surface artillery. Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay. Then that's great. So the ATACMS is actually what they need then to be able to hit the bridge, for example, in Crimea. That's not to mention, my God, I was reading yet again more stuff today about the Russians freaking out. Actually, this is really interesting. Actually, talk about the Russians freaking out. Oops, I got my mic on. Good. The Russians are now pissed at the. I'm going to forget what these are. Is it S-300s and S-400s, I believe? Is that what they're called? And they're anti-missile systems. I guess are they SAMs? But they're anti-missile systems that the Russian military was promised by the manufacturer, which is, of course, a Russian company. They were promised that these missile systems would take down, it's not coffee, it's decaf green tea. Were promised that these missiles would take down the HIMARS rocket system or the rockets from the HIMARS that we gave the Ukrainians that are causing so much hell and blowing up 20 ammunition depots in the last week. So they are surface-to-air missiles. That's what I figured. Yeah. So the S-300, the S-400, the Russians are now going after the company itself, and they're out for blood. The Russian government out for blood against these people. But as somebody was saying online, it's kind of funny because the corruption is a way of life in this country, and we've known for years and forever that people were stealing money from the Russian military, and now they're acting all surprised about it. But pretty amazing. I have no idea if Russia will break up like the USSR. I don't know enough about the various parts that are still there. I mean, I know all the different ethnic groups, but I don't know them all. I know there are so many, but I just don't know enough about what the political landscape really is in terms of the Russians being able to hold it together or not. It'd be kind of, in principle, I'd say it'd be cool if they can't hold it together, but that's always a little dangerous when a nuclear power falls apart, or it can be. I did not mention the Italian prime minister offering to resign because honestly, no offense to the Italians, but come on. The Italian minister intended to resign. I mean, I follow Italian politics well enough to know that isn't news. Having said that, I then saw that whoever he presents it to refused to accept it. So I don't know. I don't know what else is going on with the Italian government, but there you go. I understand. I still don't buy it. I don't buy it, Craig. I know about the international law thing. I think you're the one who mentioned that before. I just don't believe it. Meaning, I don't believe that's the reason. There's no way. First of all, it hasn't been in any of the articles. No one has brought up the notion that, oh my God, we can't give those missiles to Ukraine because international law says we can't. Nobody's doing that. And in fact, supposedly, we are supposedly, it's weird. There may be a negotiation going on between us and the Ukrainians about them actually getting these new surface-to-surface missiles, the ATACMS missiles. So no one's mentioning the law being an impediment. Knowing my government, I think we would talk our way through the law being or talk our way out of the law being an impediment pretty easily, you know? Let me look on TikTok again. So is it tomorrow? So somebody's saying doesn't Putin meeting with the Russian State Duma tomorrow, the lower house of the legislature, to discuss possibly declaring war on Ukraine as opposed to a special military operation? Is that what's going on? I mean, I know tomorrow's the 15th. I don't know. I didn't see if it was approved. I saw this whole thing was being put off to the 15th because remember the other night Russia had the lower house of parliament called everybody back from summer vacation and made them come in. And we were all speculating, what is this about? Well, if they're meeting tomorrow, I don't know. Because so far they've been trying very hard not to have a draft, not to have a nationwide mobilization. So, I don't know. I know absolutely nothing about politics in the Netherlands. Zero. Sorry about that. Oh, that's interesting. Somebody writes and says, regarding hateful behavior, because last night TikTok's live froze in the middle. And I got a notice on my screen that I kept a copy of. Actually, it ended automatically. And the notice said, you are banned for life from doing lives because of hateful behavior. Well, shockingly, it let me back in because the last time I got a message like that, it took a week and a half of living hell, the people I had to go after to get back on. Well, somebody here says any case, I don't even want to get into it. She's talking about the Russian trolls coming after me. Could easily be the Russian troll. I mean, I think it is the Russians, clearly. Who else would it be? Thank you, Crusher, for the fireworks. I gotta see. Are you going to do a video on the New York City nuclear safety video? I gotta see about that. Because I don't know if it's enough of a story. It's a couple days late now. It's interesting. I should have done it at the time because I haven't actually seen what New York put out about the nuclear threat. Oops. Oh God. Sorry. I scrolled down too far and was reading. I was reading more questions to answer, except I think these must be from other TikTok things. They're so crazy. Hang on. How are the war crimes going unchecked? Well, yeah, no repercussions. I got to say, it would be nice. I'm with you on this. This was from JSM Daman. It's a really good question. As far as how Russia's getting away with the war crimes. What I mean by that is there's now granted, it's not like we can do a lot about the war crimes while the war is going on, but we can do one thing. We can sit there and say, you know what? Ukraine wants these longer range rocket systems, and we've been worried about giving them to them. But you know what? If the Russians are going to blow up a supermarket or whatever, or take some of the worst things they've done, every time they do something really bad, one of those war crimes, Bucha. We should have said after Bucha, that's fine. Now they're getting a rocket system that we weren't going to give them because of Bucha. Keep going, Russia. Keep going and see what else we give them. And then they do the next thing and they get the ATACMS. And they do the next thing and they get, they get the longer shells for the HIMARS. You put things in store that you weren't going to do because they were provocative. And every time Putin does another big war crime, because they're doing war crimes every day, of course, but a big war crime, you up the ante, you say, this is happening because Russia did this. Because at least if you're going to be incremental with the weapons, which drives me crazy that we're being so incremental, either give Ukraine the weapons or don't give Ukraine the weapons. But don't do this every month. We decide to give them a few more systems and this kind of thing. At least make the incrementalism matter and have a purpose, such as we're doing incremental because every time Russia does something horrible. Thanks, Ganowsi. So, but who am I? What do you do? John for president. Nope. I have not seen war personally because my government wouldn't let me serve. So there you go. Nor would most governments in the world. So I actually did. I got offered a job, but it was being a spy, not a spy, but being an analyst for a Defense Department intelligence agency. And I didn't join because I'm gay. And I was like, there's no way in hell. Also, the job didn't sound interesting enough, but I was like, there's no way in hell I'm joining the Pentagon and being gay. That ain't happening. That totally ain't happening. So what else we got here? Let me see. What did we tell me? I didn't just do another question. No, Daniels. I did have Daniels. Good. What else are you guys talking about here on TikTok, on YouTube, etc.? Thomas Walsh, if you were POTUS, if you were the president of the United States, how would you handle the war in Ukraine? I like Biden, but he's too damn nice sometimes. I want to know how you'd handle it. I don't think Biden's too nice. I think Biden really likes deals. He likes to work out deals, and he's very good at it. And to some degree, he worked out a deal with our allies to support Ukraine to the degree we have. And I mean, I will absolutely credit Biden with that. I think Biden pulled everybody together. I really do. And that's a good instance of Biden's deal-making zeal paying off, right? He worked out a deal with all these different powers to go in and help Ukraine. That's great. But the problem with his deal-making is he also wants to make a deal on the war. And he feels if we anger Russia too much, then how do we get Russia back to the negotiating table, right? He also Biden simply has too much fear for Putin, and it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense why he's so afraid of Putin, and he is. And by letting Putin know you're afraid of him, just means he's going to do even more bad things. No one's blackmailing Biden. No. Putin may be blackmailing U.S. presidents. It's not Biden, that's for sure. But no, I mean, first of all, going into the war, we should have done more. We should have done more before. If we were convinced that Russia was going to invade, then we should have put troops on the ground all over Ukraine. I would have put NATO peacekeepers all over Ukraine. I would have tried UN and let Russia block it in the UN. And let them say, well, why are you blocking peacekeepers in a third country that you say you're not going to invade, right? And then because Russia said no, then I would go and put NATO troops all over Ukraine. And I would also have, I'd do a lot of things. I would have put missile systems in place. I would have done a lot of things. But let the Russians come in and then bomb U.S. troops. It's risky, but I think it would have been ballsier. And I think we might have pulled it off. Thank you, Margaret, for that. It's America's job to police the world. Well, the problem is the world isn't very good at policing itself. And it's funny thing happens, especially now with the world being interconnected, is that when you've got powers like Russia that are invading their neighbors, and when their neighbors are countries in Europe, you start to destabilize things and you set a precedent. And frankly, you don't just set a precedent. You set a message for Russia to start invading other neighbors who eventually will be NATO allies. And then we're all at war anyway. So the question becomes, do you want to nip it in the bud before we're all in a world war or not? So, yeah, I happen to think that we do have an exceptional role in the world. I do. That's the second thing. Thank you, Crozet. We don't always hold true to it. But I think this country, for all of its problems, especially now, still, we are a superpower. We're the only remaining superpower, really. China's an economic superpower. Russia's a nuclear superpower, but otherwise they're not anything. Economically or even militarily, their regular military isn't anything we now know. But nuclear, they're a superpower. And the U.S. is the only, so far, remaining superpower in sort of military, nuclear, economic, and culturally as well. And you know what? With great power, I want to say comes great responsibility, whatever the expression is, but I believe it's true. If you can help people, you should help. You should help. So there you go. Beep, 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 beep. All right, let me see if we got anything else here from you all on my TikTok. Let me go out and come back in. So yeah, I prefer the Q&As in the TikTok. All right. Well, you're not putting a ton of Q&As here in the TikTok. Hang on a sec. Oops. Oops. All right. Let me see. What do we got here then? Anybody? Well, pose me questions here, folks, because I can scroll back, but it's a little harder for me. Wonder if we can get Russia to sink a NATO or U.S. ship moving grain. Well, like I said, I don't think we should, but I guess the question there, Flower Lady, we'll put it in a nicer. Thank you, Flower Lady. Put it in a nicer way. What should the NATO response be? What should it be to the U.S. ship, a U.S. ship, or a NATO ship getting sunk by the Russians? Then you'd have to say if it's a military vessel, then you'd have to ask, is it a civilian vessel that was blown up somewhere? I mean, it would depend if it was intentional. It would depend if it was an accident, because if we all have accidents. We shot down that Iranian jetliner. You know what I mean? As I recall. So, hell, we blew up the Chinese embassy in Serbia. If you remember that one was like, woo, and the Chinese were pissed, but in the end, we didn't go to war over it because it was a mistake. Hold on a second. One moment. Sorry, I got a message from somebody. Oops, sorry. Text messages. Text messages from the Secret Service. Just kidding. I had a snack. I didn't really have full dinner though. I don't really have anything to eat. Well, I was going to make the meatballs that, I'm forgetting. Is it Ashley? I'm already forgetting your name. I'm forgetting everybody's names. Had provided me her family meatballs, but I of course added too much salt to them. So I'm stretching the recipe out to try to get rid of it and therefore cannot eat them tonight. So bummer. If Russia starts the draft, what effect will that have on the war? It means Russia will have a lot of troops available like in a year or something. I mean, from what I was reading, or 6 months, maybe it's 6 months and then going to a year, which would help them. It also has all sorts of legal ramifications for Russia that I don't understand. So it'll affect how they handle deserters, and all of that will be much more harsh. But again, I don't know kind of that, but I don't know. I'd be curious. I mean, I'd be curious to think what the military folks think in terms of whether it would make such a difference in terms of where Russia is in 6 months or a year if they have, a draft versus what they're doing now. Because currently there was something the other day that, throat's still doing its weird thing. There was something the other day that or today actually in the news, I forgot to copy it. I was going to mention it to you guys, that Putin has asked each of the regions in Russia, and it's something like 60 regions or something, but he's asked them all to come up with like a list of names of new recruits that they've been able to entice by giving more money and more benefits or whatever they give. And, I just don't know whether that's much different than a draft. I guess a draft means there's no choice, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It'll take a while for Russia to train the new guys, and then Russia writes 3 to 7 days. Well, that's the thing. They're giving 3 to 7 days training right now for a lot of these guys. Now, that's the biggest thing. Actually, what Elise is saying now, that the big concern was that if they have a nationwide draft, it's going to really freak people out, and that could set up for political problems. Even for Putin being a dictator, that could set up political problems. So, and frankly, it kind of proves the point that the war isn't really going so well. If this war that was supposed to be just 3 days, now you're having to have a nationwide draft 5 months in, you're sort of admitting to the people you screwed up. Excuse me. I don't think so. Would the NATO Suspense says, would NATO's stance change if Russia declared full-out war? Not if they declared full-out war against Ukraine. I don't think so. Now, the only difference would be if the military experts determined that Russia calling for a nationwide draft okay, and declaring war on Ukraine, that in 9 months or a year, if the war is still going on, that would give Russia enough extra men to overpower Ukraine entirely, right? So if we heard that, then we might give them weapons that could help them end the war now or end the war in the next 3 to 6 months. So that's a possibility, if we come to that conclusion. But that's the only thing that I could see really making a difference. It doesn't change the fact that we're going to keep supporting Ukraine. If they declare war on Ukraine, we're already supporting Ukraine. So what's the difference? Beep, beep, beep. Yep, I've not done the recap yet, but I will in a bit. Nathan's favorite people are back. Crazy people. Crazy people. I know, Nathan. We get different trolls on YouTube. You get the Russian trolls there, but over on the rest of them, they get the SE double hockey picks trolls. Let's just call them that. Let's see what else here. Under military reforms, the Russians, Craig is saying, under military reforms, the Russians reduced their permanent officer class over the last 20 years. This means that they don't have the leaders to lead so many new troops. Oh, that's interesting. Well, and if in fact 15 generals have been killed, I know I was reading a while ago that they were saying that could take, God knows how many years to replace, to just sort of get the military back to where it was, losing that kind of institutional memory and that kind of, institutional leadership. Hey, Ryan boy. All right. What do you guys got here? My only concern with Biden, first, it depends what you mean, Nelly. I'm not sure. You really think the U.S. has a chance? You mean like the U.S. has a chance of surviving? Yes. The U.S. will survive under Joe Biden. That's true. If you mean U.S. have a chance to make the difference we need to make in Ukraine under Biden, at this point, I'd give him a B. He's been A+ at corralling the allies, but I'd give him a B on the weapons provision because we've been giving great weapons, but it's going slowly and we're not giving them everything they need. And, imagine we had given them a bunch of these weapons that first week of the war or the first month of the war. We're in the 5th month of the war. It's a bit much. Any news on Boris Johnson? No, I have no news on Boris Johnson. What else, folks? Well, I don't know that we've got much more here, folks. I don't have anything else to give you. And unfortunately, because TikTok got rid of the Q&A box, we just don't have as many questions. Usually that Q&A box, I told you we'd get 80 questions in that Q&A box because it made it so easy. But having it in my profile slowing it down. So you tell me. But if we don't have any more questions, okay, what was your question, Dr. Cola Bear? Or Cola Bear, I'm calling you. Cola Car? Cola Bear. I like Koala Bear. I think it's kind of cute. What more can we send Ukraine? Well, we were just talking about it. We can send them missiles and rockets that can go 100, 200 miles, right? That's the first thing we could do. That would be huge because if we sent them that, they would be able to attack the bridge that connects Crimea, which the Russians are currently occupying, to the rest of Ukraine. They would be able to do so much more damage to the Russians behind the scene. Not behind the scene, but behind enemy lines. It's amazing the kind of damage they could do. So that's probably the biggest thing we could do right now. That we reasonably could do, right? If we're not doing fighter jets or whatever. Not really, Craig. Craig is asking, have you heard much about the Kherson counteroffensive? So Kherson, you'll recall, is town and region over here. I finally checked my regions the other day, so I'm getting better at them. So the Kherson region is like a lot of this with the main town, Kherson, here. And the Russians control it, but, thank you, El, the Russians control it, but there was a lot of talk about a major Ukrainian counteroffensive taking place shortly in the region. The Ukrainians even told their citizens to get out of there. They said, get out and just get out. It's coming. So presuming that that's true, I don't know whether we've seen anything yet to show that there is one yet, Craig. I mean, I haven't heard anything. Even today, I didn't have any news on anything special going on in Kherson because it wasn't really in the news that I was pulling up. So, I don't think they went at the bridge yet. Let me see here. Hang on. Just looking at TikTok again to see if you guys put more questions here. There we go. Did you see the intercept by Japan of Russian sub-Hunter aircraft off the coast of Japan a few days ago? No, but this is what they do. The Russians just like to stir the pot and scare everybody, and I think it's meant to freak out the Germans, the Germans, the French, and Biden as well a little bit, to think, oh, Putin's everywhere. We better be careful. Don't make him mad. That's my guess. The gas turbine. Yep. We've talked a lot about the gas turbine. Will supporting Ukraine become an important election issue in 2024? It's interesting. That's interesting. Biden is not good at putting the moral case forward about Ukraine. He's not good at putting the moral case forward about anything. He's just not good at that. I mean, that's not who he is, right? And let's face it, he's not good on TV. He's not good at messaging. So Biden would have to make, whether it's Biden or somebody else who runs in 2024, Biden's president now. Biden would have to keep presenting the case of the moral argument on why the world needs to stand up and defend Ukraine, and why America, and how this shows again the importance of America in the world. And mind you, counter that to what Trump did the last 4 years would be the comparison, right? But Biden won't do that. So Biden would need to do that to at least have Ukraine in some way be an election issue. He's squishy. He is a little squishy. I mean, he's not going to do it. He's just not going to do it. He's not going to do it well. So if anything, the Republicans have been trying. They're not doing it yet, but they've been trying, at least on the fringes, to make Ukraine an election issue by saying, how did we get into this? Why did Putin think it was okay to attack because Biden was there? Blah, blah, blah. So they could try to actually, and if Donald Trump's the candidate, Trump's going to say they never attacked when I was president. He's going to say it. I think it's BS, but so Trump would try to make it an election issue in reverse. I will never run for elected office. I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't know. The problem is I don't know that we have anybody great. I mean, I like Pete. Pete might still be a little too young. Buttigieg. I like Kamala. I'm not sure. I think she has mistakes publicly, and it's not good. I think she makes mistakes, and she does. She's also super liberal, which again, I don't have a problem with, but people will have a problem with that. Amy Klobuchar, I'm not overwhelmed with any. I mean, I like Pete a lot. I think he's a little young, and also he's short, and I mean this, for American presidents, it becomes an issue. It's ridiculous that it's an issue, but American presidents, most of them have been like 6'1" and up. His being short might be perceived as weakness, so to speak. I love Pete. I supported him. We are talking now about what I think will matter, not what I think should matter. Newsom, interesting. Gavin Newsom is, people grow up. I mean, we can disagree about presidential candidates. It's not the end of the world. Please stop it. But Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, was the mayor of San Francisco. You get into problems with Gavin Newsom too, because he was the mayor of San Francisco. I like him. I like the way he speaks. He did a real good ad recently on the school shootings, on the whole issue of school shootings. And it was very good and very impassioned. And he actually got the sort of moral outrage going, which was interesting, but Stacey Abrams is interesting. I'm impressed by her intelligence. Hearing her speak in interviews, she's just like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, God damn. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. But I'm very impressed with her mind. Very impressed with her mind. So tomorrow, Elise is saying, so tomorrow is that much heralded Duma meeting that we talked about. Anyone hear any news on the agenda? We hadn't, Elise. Let me just Google it really quick and see. Because I didn't even see any stories on it today. Well, let's see. The Moscow Times, which I think, the Moscow Times, which are good people, as I recall. Russia's lower house will gather for an extraordinary meeting Friday amid speculation the deputies could sign off on a major policy announcement or government reshuffle. The meetings come as Russia faces mounting blah, blah, blah. The suddenness of the decision to recall parliament less than a week after the State Duma's spring session ended indicates that an urgent matter is at hand. More than 60 issues are expected to appear on Friday's agenda. Several lawmakers told the Moscow Times that the main reason for the session is a government reshuffle, with deputies expected to vote on confirming industry and trade minister to the post of deputy prime minister. Yeah, so it could be, it could be a shuffling. It could be something with the war, as we're saying. Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Obviously, nobody knows, but that's what they're still kind of guessing, right? Why are we getting crazy trolls again over on Tiki-Taki? Let me know if the nutsies are there. Danielle, which Republican 2024 presidential candidate is my favorite? I don't know who else is running. I mean, DeSantis, Trump, forget it. DeSantis is worrisome because he has been running like Trump. His agenda in Florida has been devoted to the Trump agenda. And everything DeSantis has done in Florida in the last couple of years has been to win Trump voters over nationwide. DeSantis went nutsy cuckoo on the COVID thing. He was against the vaccination, against masking, against all these things, horrifically so. Spreading to his team, spreading disinformation about COVID. It was horrifying. DeSantis is, and the problem is, Republicans think DeSantis is okay, except that I will say, as I said, it pissed some people off the other day. It is possible that DeSantis isn't as corrupt as Donald Trump. And before anybody blows a gasket, Donald Trump is one of the, if not the, no, Donald Trump, I think, is the most corrupt politician I've ever known about. There may be somebody else in American history I'm not familiar with, but I've never seen someone as corrupt as Donald Trump. It blows my mind how corrupt he is. So DeSantis might have that going for him. Maybe, but he's just as bad as Trump. But again, what worries me is he simply wants to throw bombs. He likes to just throw bombs and get people upset and, the culture issues. He's not interested in the real issues. And that worries me. Liz Cheney, here's the thing. If you had to ask me about a Republican, I would be more interested in a moderate Republican. They don't tend to exist anymore. But Liz Cheney, the only problem with Liz Cheney is, she's awfully conservative on everything. You would hate Liz Cheney on every issue you care about if you're anywhere in the middle or the left. But she would be honest. And we know that she would be an honest person. So if it was Liz Cheney versus Trump, obviously Liz Cheney, the Republic lives to survive another day with Liz Cheney, at least. Right. So, I don't really have one. Honestly, right now, my issue is the Republic. It's losing our democracy. And that's my issue. That's my one issue I care about most right now. So, yeah, exactly. Asking for donations like Trump did for his ex-wife's death. Tulsi is trouble, though. Tulsi Gabbard likes to go on Fox News and bash Democrats. She's not centrist. She's trying to be a Fox News Republican now. For my taste, I don't think she's a centrist at all. My taste doesn't matter. I mean, but no, but I think people need to worry about our country and where it's going. And, again, all of these goofy issues. And frankly, the Democrats aren't into, I will say the Democrats aren't into that many goofy issues, but the Democrats do this job of, Republicans do a great job of selling their message. And as I've always said, Democrats don't sell their message at all. It's annoying. It's annoying. So. All right. Anything else with this? We're almost at the point where I'm going to call it quits anyway and just hang out with you guys. Because again, I'm doing shorter ones lately because my voice is still being evil. It's not totally bad, but it's not good tonight. Anything else? No, let me do the recap. That's a good point. Yeah, let me do the recap and then we'll be done. Up. My dry recap. Now I've got to find hold on. Find my notes here. There we go. Do they go this way or this way? It doesn't really matter. Okay, they can go either way. Okay. All right. Secret Service deleted a series of text messages text messages from January 5th and January 6th, right after they were asked by an investigator to provide them. Bad news. Ivana Trump died today. Donald Trump's first wife. Trump responded by sending out a condolence by email that, surprise, was actually a fundraiser for himself. There was a Russian missile strike on a civilian building, 2 community centers, houses, a medical center in the Ukrainian town of Vinnytsia. And when we came on, there were at least 23 people killed, 66 injured. A possible grain deal is getting closer to being agreed to between Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey. And again, these are just the summaries. Presumably Ukrainian guerrillas set fire to a sunflower oil refinery in occupied Mariupol. The EU is talking about doing a natural gas deal with Azerbaijan to get natural gas from them to start weaning themselves off of Russia, which is important. The U.S. Secretary of State has declared that between 900,000 and 1.6 million Ukrainian citizens have been interrogated, detained, and forcibly deported by the Russians to Russia, including 260,000 children. All right, the Russians are looking to reopen a chemical plant in Severodonetsk, the town in the east that they recently took over and occupied. And experts are worried that it could be extremely dangerous because basically the Russians don't know what they're doing. And finally, I talked about non-Ukrainian news. I mentioned that there is a lawsuit going on from a religious right lawyer in Texas who is trying to strike down the provisions of Obamacare that require insurers to cover PrEP, which is a drug that people take once a day to prevent them from catching HIV. And it's ridiculously effective drug. So, all right, enough of the news. Let's hang a few minutes. No politics, just hanging. I know my voice is a little better today than it was, but it's still not being good. See ya, Mustard. Al Gore. That's cute. Thomas Walsh asks, what do you think of Al Gore 2024? I mean, the thing is, Al Gore wasn't a very good campaigner. So I worry about stuff like that, Bye, guys. Yeah, feel free to go. We're just going to hang and talk for a few minutes. And I'm not going to go too long because I might throw up my voice. But he's finally old enough. Okay, that's funny, Webb. Hold on, Webadeb. How old is Al Gore? 74. He might be a little young. He might still be a little young. Sasha's doing well. She is 100% back on her regular food. So knock on wood. I think Sasha's good now, which is good. So, God, my favorite country in Northern Europe. In Northern Europe, God, I don't know Northern Europe very well though. I've only been to Sweden, Germany, East Germany. I don't count Russia because I don't think Russia's European. I've been to the UK and I've been to Edinburgh as well, but I haven't been to that. And I mean, and is France Northern Europe? I mean, if France is Northern Europe, it's probably France, but that's because I've lived there and have visited so much and I speak French. French is my best language. So I've got a lot of emotional ties to France. I like Sweden a lot. Sweden was very expensive, but I liked it. Don't know the other, hello, whatever you call them, Scandinavian countries. The answer, I like that. The answer is Ireland. Commander Jelly Legs tells me. I have never been to Ireland. I'm dying to go to Ireland. Iceland, I've been really interested in going to Iceland too, so I've not done that. Yes, I mean, I don't think of France and Germany really as northern. I mean, they're northern in the sense that they're not southern. Like Germany isn't Southern Europe, right? But even France, is France Southern Europe? I guess Southern France is Southern Europe-ish, you know? Your favorite is Deutschland, Thomas? All right. France is France. That's funny. That's actually very funny. I like the Netherlands. Actually, I really like the Netherlands. Amsterdam was charming. I loved Ghent. I told you this. I went to Ghent, and I'm trying to remember what do you call Ghent in French again? What's the name? Because I was in France when I went to Ghent, so I learned like the French name for it. But I loved Ghent. Oh my God, Ghent. Lovely, lovely town, lovely people, beautiful town. Reminded me of Amsterdam with like the canals and stuff. Just loved it. Just loved it. So, and one of the francophones will tell me how to say Ghent in French. I've never been to Bruges. I know people have told me I've got to go to Bruges. I know. I never have. It's not Le Gant. No, it's not Le Gant. Cute, Greg. I know Mom doesn't call. Well, I also it won't cut off anymore if Mom calls during my lives. But Mom has not been called. I did talk to Mom the other day. I know Montreal is on my list. Quebec City, who knows if it's interesting? Is it? See, you even got me doing the French when I said that. Quebec City, I'm like, took a semester of German as a foreign language class last semester. Thomas, it was the only other foreign language in my school besides Spanish. I wish we had French. You don't have French in your school? How do they only have like Spanish and German? That seems a bit funny. Gon? No, I'm thinking something else. I'm thinking a different name for it. Hold on. I'm remembering something else here. Let me see. I mean, it's Flemish anyway, obviously, but oops. You're right. Gon. Okay, I don't remember that. Okay, Gon. That's funny. I was thinking some other name for it then. All right, I'm confusing myself. Anyway, just loved it. Oh, I know what it was. It was Ghent versus the Dutch name for it. That was what I was thinking of. I think, or am I totally losing my mind? Well, it's just Gent. Okay, I'm losing my mind. Oh, Gent versus GH. Okay, never mind. But yeah, it was a lovely town, just a lovely town. Oh man. Oh, tired. Never been to Denmark. I've not been to any other Scandinavian countries. So other than Sweden twice, which was nice, very expensive, but very nice. Don't know the other ones. All right, guys, let me go because still doing the voice thing here. Yes, I'm losing my voice. And tomorrow is Friday, so we will again do 6 p.m. All righty. 6 p.m. mañana. We do. All right, guys. Waiting. There we go. Catching up now. I was waiting for it to catch up. Thank you, Louis. And all of you over here. All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm going to go. This'll help. I've still got to be careful with the voice. All right. Oh, thank you, Ashley, as well. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you, mods, as always. You kick butt. You kick troll butt. All right.